If you've been following Fine Woodworking magazine and other sources out there, you're probably aware that Kumiko has become a very popular thing. The other day I had a fellow email me about how to make a modification in SketchUp to a Kumiko panel that he had created. So he had something similar to this little square one on the left, and he wanted to create a larger one. And I thought I would show you how I went about doing this. There's some really neat things about leveraging the power of components here and the flip along commands. So let's take a look. Okay, so here's that single small panel. And before we get started, I'm going to make a copy of this thing over to one side and just leave it over there. Now let's look at this real quick before I get into modifying it. I've got the long pieces are all instances of the same component. So you can see if I open one of these for editing and triple click on it to select all that geometry, you can see the others show the same thing. The ones on I'll call them the vertical ones, are just flipped along the blue direction, the component's blue, to get the joints to work properly. I've also created a nested component for this quarter of the panel. Let me pull a copy of that over here so you can see. A nested component is when you've got a bunch of other components wrapped up inside a component. So if I open this for editing, you can see that each one of these things is a component. And in this particular case, any that are like components are instances of the same component as well. So what I'm going to do here really leverages this component thing. All right. So I'm going to do 3 high, 3 across for the small panels, and then one big one up in the upper right corner. And you could carry this out pretty much as far as you want. Oh, before I get into doing that, I'm just going to pull this toolbar out. This is the Bool Tools 2 toolbar or tool set. And I'm going to use that because this tool is available for SketchUp Make as well as for Pro. And so now what I've done here is I dragged a right to left selection box around everything except the bottom. And then I'm just going to I'm going to hold Shift and deselect. I don't need those either. So I have just those 4 quadrants plus these other long pieces. And I'm going to use the Move Copy, and I'm going to click at this corner and bring my copy up to the outside edge of that top horizontal. And then I'm going to hit Enter, X to enter. And so now I've got all of that. Now this is 3 separate pieces. And I'm going to use the Union tool from Bool Tools 2 to join those. But before I do that, I need to, since I'm going to make some modifications that I don't want to carry anywhere else in the model, I'm going to make those 3 unique. I'll make this one unique and this one unique. If I don't do that, because Bool Tools respects the componentness of the parts, it will end up screwing up some of the things that I'm going to have it do. So Okay, so union, and I'm going to select this one and this one. And now if I bring a copy of that out, you can see that's just one stick instead of two. And then I'm going to get union again, and this time I'm going to select this one first, and then this one. And you see it's now made two more long ones out of the short one there. All right, now I need to make the other direction here. So, well, since those are selected, let's just go ahead and select those and that one. So I don't want this outside one here. And I'm going to do the same sort of copy thing again. Enter X2. And so I've got some extra parts in here, and I've got some, like this one is too short. And actually, that's okay. I don't really need these. Or these. I guess I could have left those out. And I don't need those two. So all we really needed to copy was that. Now, this is my rosette side, and this one is called rosette side number 1 because of the make unique operation. What I'm going to do, actually I'm going to undo my delete here. I'm going to go ahead and delete these, but I'm going to leave those long ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two, select those, and then I'm going to find rosette side, and I'm going to replace selected. And then this one, and this one are rosette side. I'm going to replace those with rosette side number 1. And now I've got all of those. Now I need a couple more of them, and what I can do, actually I should have done this in the first place, is select those two and replace those with rosette number 1. Okay, now the other thing is I've got some extra notches in these pieces, so I'm going to select those, this one, and I'm going to make those unique. So they're still related to each other. But now when I bring use push-pull and push that face up, I'm getting rid of those extra notches, and I did that by editing just one copy. All right. We're getting pretty close actually to the end of this. So here I'm going to make a copy of that rosette. I'll go ahead and I'm going to make that unique right now. And then I'm going to copy it. And this copying could wait, but I'm just going to do it like this. Now this one I'm going to flip in the green direction, so that those corners there are all going to be pointing to the middle. Then I'm going to select that one too, copy it over this way, right click and flip along the red direction. All right, so now let's edit one of these, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see this a little better as to what's happening. I've selected this little short one. I'm going to move it over to that intersection there. And you see when I did that, that other one came with it. I'll do the same thing here. And just a note about these angled components, you'll notice that the bounding boxes fit the angled component correctly. That's really handy with the cut list, but it's also useful here because we have an on-axis situation when we do something like move this. So, and here's an interesting thing. I should have, before I started modifying these, I should have made those unique as well. I could edit this and take that out, but I won't. I'll just leave it alone. It's one of those things you just have to remember to do. So those come into the corner there. These two are going to come to the corner here. Now, here, in order to make this kind of clear as to what has to happen, I'm going to put in guidelines that run through those points there. And then I'm going to bring that point up to that where those guidelines cross. And then I can do the same thing here. I'm done with the guidelines. I've got a keyboard shortcut for that. And I now have the larger rosette there. And the whole thing is complete. And of course you could drag this out and make panels, you know, any size this way. Do whatever you want to it. But leveraging the components is the key thing here. And the other thing that's nice about this, if you are designing your Kumiko panel and you want to figure out how many of these pieces do you need to make, you can either select the component and see it. In this case, it shows there's 8 of them in the model. Or here, for example, I've got 48 of them in the model. So I have to select both of those to show all 48. But, well, and that's including this one over on the side. But the point is, you can, if you needed to create a list of, you know, so you know how many of each part you need, you've got it here. So hopefully there's something you can take away from this, even if you're not using it for Kumiko. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments.